Ladies and gentlemen, this is another rundown. Today we're going to cover GENG versus Bilibili. Look away, because, spoiler alert, the LPL has kicked out the #1 seed of Korea. Bilibili was a team that was severely underestimated by the whole community, and something that is also underestimated by a lot of the community members is the impact of liking and leaving a comment and subscribing to the channel. It truly makes a difference. And there is a chance that you get $127 if you do some of these things. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. We continue with the breakdown. GENG vs Bilibili. Bilibili was a team that, everyone expected, they're going to get smoked by GENG. I think a lot of people judge Bilibili too harshly based off of some of the occasional, blundersome matches that they had in play-ins. For example, they dropped the games against Golden Guardians. And I think looking at the series against JDG, they looked very, very competitive. And of course, I believe GENG would be the stronger team at the end of it. But I was also aware of how well Bilibili can play when, the stars align for them. In order for teamfight masterpieces to appear, like the JGG T1 series or the JGG Bilibili series, I think it is important to be aware of the fact that it takes two to tango. It's like to push the opposition to such a level, it takes two to tango. And I think this is very, very important. And I think another very stark contrast between the LPL and the LCK so far is just that the LCK has been very, very bad when it comes to the draft assessment. Let's take a look at game number 1. Bilibili ban Ari, K'Sante, Jinx on their blue side, denying the Jinx from the 1-2. This is something that GENG prioritized super heavily. I think it's a good call to do, especially here, right, because you have Zyra Khan options into the potential Aphelios pick, and also you have the Lulu Zeri yourself if this is an angle you want to go towards. The enemy team, GENG, banned Lucian, Annie, Nautilus, denying some of the Yagao mid laners that he likes to play. And then they decided to go for Lulu Zeri. First pick jungle, Maokai. I think that makes sense. Usual business. But at the same time, Maokai can sometimes put you in kind of a strange hole in draft because you need to find AD in topside, and that could be sometimes dangerous. I think the key thing about Maokai, right, is you need to find like AD mid or AD top. But if the enemy bans, for example, Jason Nar, blind picking AD top becomes a lot more harder, right? So Maokai gets first pick, enemy goes Zyra Khan. Lulu Zeri is the answer, and then Vi gets picked on 3. The reason they pick Zyra Khan, right, is because they know they're going to pick Vi as a jungler into Maokai, and Zyra Khan would then be the best answer on 2-3 into Vi. They choose to go Zeri over, of course, the Aphelios, just because they just want to have the additional dash against Rakan. And I think, this is just a preference thing. Elk is definitely one of the players that really, really loves Zeri. That is still at the tournament. Gumiyoshi, for example, doesn't like Zeri too much. And Ruler is also another Zeri enjoyer. Even though it got nerfed, it's a preference thing. But I think having that additional dash definitely helps against Rakan. Vi gets picked on 3, and then GENG do a very nice 4-5 by denying Jason Nar. They're not expecting Yagao to, of course, play Tristana in this spot. It would be very strange. YamatoCannon gets banned because they're just banning like AP champions that they don't want to pick and prepare for their blind pick. But the issue here is Gragas on 4 is quite strong. Gragas on 4 is quite strong here because they know already that the enemy needs to pick an AD top laner. And Jackson to Gragas is definitely like a very tough matchup for Jax. And then Talia is the blind pick choice. Lissandra, I know that a lot of people enjoyed the Lissandra into Talia. I think it's perfectly fine here. But all in all, it is what it is. You just pick Lissandra, and it's kind of a, you just pick Lissandra for the comp. I think the GENG have a decent composition here. Everything is going to kind of depend on Zeri's conditions. I think in a case where Zeri does have cleanse and it becomes easier for them to survive the Lulu, like the Vi ult, then of course Zeri is going to pop off. I think the key thing here, right, is that maybe there's something more interesting to pair together with Vi, but then again, Ari is out, Annie is out, Talia is out. I'm just thinking if there's a champion choice here that can provide you with a little bit more burst and isn't as countered by the existence of cleanse, because Zeri already has reasons to play cleanse against Xayah and Rakan, right? So this is where I'm thinking if there's like an improvement to be made here on 5-pick, maybe in the shape of, let's say, Syndra. You know, some other teams would be willing to pick maybe Gragas at mid here, but it's not really necessary. Gragas is definitely worse against Talia than it is against Jax. I'm just trying to think if there's ways to make Vi's ultimate more significant, because I don't associate Lissandra with that much burst. But then again, I think that Genji's draft is quite strong here. I liked what they showed in this game, because Jax is going to have a hard time in this game. Looking at this game though, the key situation here is just they managed to find like this psychopath bot dive, and it all comes off of the back of you know, Vi went into topside, got spotted on a ward, and then she pressed B. There's a mismatch in the clear, Vi path into topside, and then Jun just goes into bot, steps in, and they just dive on a stacking wave. Here, I think the light definitely fucks up his W, right? He doesn't hit anyone, doesn't CC, and the damage is just enough to kill Pace, even though he has cleanse. I thought they could dive, but they made it look so much easier than I thought it would be. It's like Maokai damage is so damn high. It's like Maokai damage is so crazy. And then On's damage on top of that, followed by, of course, Elk, who is zapping in and Eing. I think that ideally Elk positions a little bit more forward, so he doesn't have to E until he needs to penetrate minions and turret shots. But in the end, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal, because a kill is a kill, right? And they have enough time because Vi was on top. So this is already a fantastic swing. It's very important to get your Zeri ahead. We already talked about the top, like the meta of the tournament. Get your AD ahead, and if your AD is ahead, you're going to win the game. Everything is still true when Zeri and Lulu is in the game and ZyraKhan is in the game. We're so used to seeing Aphelios and Jinx, so I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. Generally speaking, right, Bin was just crashing waves on top, and somehow Bin found a way to create conditions where he was ahead. Like, his conditions are fantastic on top. He's going to go into top side here and do the crab. You know, things were looking good. You know, like Bin, we didn't get to see much of the pro view here on top side, but the fact that he is staying even and even ahead against Gragas is a miracle in itself. Like, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it at all. I wanted to show also the Zeri next kill here, because they burn a lot of sums here to create the circumstance where Shun dies. It's like Peanut Flash, Chovy used ult, and I really like, you know, most teams here would just accept, but they're just trying to look to leverage the fact that the enemy use all of their tools. Yagao is hovering, Elk is strong, On is strong. Not a lot of teams would be like, oh, our jungler died, let's fucking pressure invade. This is very nice from Bilibili that they're looking to actively pressure. They're using the same principles as many teams would use later on in the game, right? It's like early game is still the truest form of the game. It just extends itself later because the lanes become longer, and also, of course, the minions die faster, right? This is a very beautiful play, because not a lot of teams would actually look for this. They're looking to punish, Peanut leash to blue, and then GG, you know? Gorgeous. Yo, I will dominate with the raid. Yo, thank you very much, Dom. Shout out to Dom. Just raided us with a massive army of a group of 3,092 people. What are we saying? What are we saying? He's just emptying his sack. What are we saying? What are we saying? Honestly, in this play here, Bilibili just sensed it. It's like here, it's like, I know On is sweeping and he spots Peanut crossing into this side, and you know, he spotted them, but I think they just sensed it. It's like they just sensed it here, guys. They just sensed it that Peanut is here. They just sensed it. I was brought here against my will. I guess that's what a raid is. That is what a raid. You just get kidnapped and put somewhere else. All right, so this was a beautiful play, and then during this time, they also secured the top Herald, which is a super big deal, of course. It's all about that Herald because of that concentrated gold. Mountain is, of course, nice, but, you know, if you can put... It depends always. It's like, Mountain is good in general, but if that gold is concentrated in the right way, and the gold is going to push you in a way where you finish another legendary item, and you have a legendary item advantage, the concentrated gold can go such a long way. Stat-wise, Mountain Drake is amazing, right? It's like 2,000 gold in terms of stats, and of course scaling depending on how much armor and MR you have. But concentrated gold, sometimes it's like if you could distribute, like if we play a theoretical game, and you could distribute your gold freely on your team, you would put all of that gold onto the target that has the most efficiency in terms of his kit against the opposition. And currently in the meta, most often that is AD carry. But it always depends. Sometimes that Herald gold might put you in a position where you have maybe a longsword more. And then that longsword is completely meaningless because recipes are, in most cases, the most cost-efficient thing that you can buy. Right? So we continue. This game, I think that Chovy was in really good conditions, and I think the issue that GENG ran into, and I think it was true for the majority of the game, is just that they struggled so damn hard to find themselves in positions where they could actively fight. They couldn't find angles, and I think that Bilibili, in terms of spatial awareness, like Formula 1 drivers, they were aware of everything. They kited in unison. They were like a rubber band. If they moved in one direction, the whole team moved in one direction. They made sure they never got caught together, kited back through their abilities, played in unison, was absolutely beautiful. I really, really liked it. Really, really liked it. But then here on the flip side, GENG was struggling with this a lot. Here GENG, they're now posturing for this Drake quite late. It's already started and Lissandra's still hitting top 4 platings. She's now going to TP on the turret, and now they are limping into this fight, and Bilibili have full information on the opposition as they enter. They see the Lissandra TPing in, and they also, of course, have Zeri already in position. Gragas is going to be late. Peanut here loses a lot of his HP, tries to queue in. He gets hit by Agao and he gets pushed out. And now GENG are trying to actively collapse. And now Delight flashes in, but the issue is no one can really follow up here. Look at Chovy. On flashes away. They are kiting backwards. They're playing in unison. But here Delight burns all of his spells, all of his tools, can't get the kill on Elk. Elk flashes over the wall and Bilibili are just kiting back. And this fight started with Peanut losing half of his HP. I think it was a very, very greedy fight here from GENG that they limped into it so late. And the fact that it didn't come from the same angle didn't allow them to focus fire at the same target, which their comp should allow to do because they have Vi, they have Rakan, they have Lissandra. Very easy target access, right? Very easy target access. And now you see, in the context of this MasterCard gold graph, right? You see that the concentrated gold is in favor here of Zeri. And Zeri gets obviously amplified by Lulu. So her gold advantage is, kind of amplified by the fact that Lulu is in the game. While Chovy is playing Lissandra, having additional gold on Lissandra is not as impactful. That's why a lot of mid laners are complaining about the current meta, is because you are most of the time just a CC bot that pushes. Right? You're just a CC bot that pushes. Sure, Chovy can maybe have a hourglass coming into a fight, but a difference between an hourglass and a stopwatch isn't that big in a lot of cases. And that is the struggle of a mid laner currently, right? They're just playing fucking Nautilus, Annie, and Lissandra, and they are just not doing enough, right? Yeah, Bin went for this crazy ass play. Pays almost died to a cannon minion. It almost shot him, but the level up saved, of course, Pays. It's like Bin looked for a psychopath play. Pays survived with so little HP. Of course, Rakan kept him alive. We jump to the next sequence here. Yeah, this is where things got really weird. Always when Bilibili were positioning for objectives, GENG was always quite late. And then they just turned very quick on the same spot. Doran just got snacked on. He's trying to undermine the enemy's position. But Bilibili are just posturing to the same spot. They find the flash W. Very quick and clean. I like this. It's like they are posturing together. The enemy's trying to break your position. Flash, boom, hit. Very, very good. This is something that we saw G2 was lacking. We saw that, you know, a lot of teams were lacking. They weren't pulling the objective in one direction, and they didn't push in a way where they like were willing to pull the trigger. Like if you're starting the objective because you believe you're stronger. So if you're stronger, be willing to fucking fight, right? Be willing to fight. Here the enemy is mispositioning. They are 3 into mid. They see that Doran is trying to enter. They flash W him and they bonk him. This was a very weird attempt here from Chovy. He could have died here with a better CC chain. And, you know, lucky here, Pace didn't have E. It became kind of deep here. Fucking Rakan's getting kills. But the fact that GENG were looking actively for this fight, you know, this looks kind of dangerous. Pace kind of saves the situation because he does so much damage. But just here in terms of GENG's fight selection, you know, it's like already Doran is dead. They're trying to break the re-entry of the opposition. Like, what on earth is Chovy really doing here? Like, this looks very, very strange. What is he doing here? I'm not so sure. Like, if you want to deny the re-entry of the enemy, that makes sense. The enemy can't cross here, but you're the one crossing here, making this choke point the reverse. Chovy was playing very desperate. Very desperate. Keep in mind, Elk also has cleanse. You know, I think that Pace saves the situation because in the end, the enemy overchased for Chovy and they couldn't kill him. So Pace definitely saves it here together with Rakan. But, tough. Very tough. Here once again, right? It's like GENG are trying to reconnect through mid. And already, like we are coming out of a replay as far as I know. I think like this replay happens, right? Doran is dead. Chovy gets pushed out on bot. Bin is pushing, he has Mercs into Lissandra, he wins. They place the Herald, the enemy needs to defend, they take over river, the enemy tries to contest river, they're posturing well, they spot people out of position, they go, when they're out of position, they reposition. It's like clockwork. Beautiful from Bilibili. It's like here, what is Bilibili's information? They see that these two are here, they see Peanut is here. I don't understand why Peanut is here. Okay? Bin has a freedom to jump because he has all of the information in the world. He has all the information in the world. Chovy gets bonked, he's out of position. This is not something that GENG necessarily could contest, right? If they wanted to contest it, they needed to do it all through mid, right? Where do we see the dance always happen, right? You take this wave, and then you basically try to edge in through here, right? You take angles from this spot, you place pinks, and you try to find blind spots for the enemy. And then you try to break into the bush behind the red, and then you break it. But I'm not so sure what they are doing in this spot. This is very strange, right? Like, the situational awareness here from GENG is just so much worse. So much worse. Another one. Chovy's eating over the wall, but he's getting Maokai ulted. And he gets spotted. GENG are now collapsing, but Chovy is also in nowhere. He's in Narnia. Very strange. You know? Very strange. Very strange. He's just in Narnia. He's chilling. I don't know what he was looking for here. I can't understand this. And it's like, the thing is, what's so funny is that Bilibili are also confused. It's like, they are Maokai ulting to engage on this group together with Jack's TP. I don't get it. Like, they're Maokai ulting, and then they realize here, oh, shit. We can kill Chovy for free. And then they kill Jax for free. I think maybe Bin could have waited a little bit longer. I understand why Bilibili want to fight, because of course Zed is on 3 core and they are way stronger than the enemy. But I couldn't for the life of me understand Chovy's decision to be playing in that pocket. Because he's not going to be able to flank, he's not going to be able to pressure. Like, the only hope, right? I think the build here. Maybe if you itemize in a way where Chovy does more damage on the burst, and basically on the Vi ult, they can actually have enough damage to one-shot Zeri, but it's very hard. Very hard. Let's take a look at the game decider in the end. Don't enforce the TP. I don't know why Shun doesn't W this. I thought that he's in big trouble. I think it was just big trouble. Chovy, like, when it was live, I was like, what the fuck is Chovy doing? But Chovy is just trying to smite Nash. Like, that's what he's going for here. I think considering the position of the game, I think it's fine to look for something desperate. Like, they are very losing at this point. Zed is too strong. Zed is way too strong. Chovy tries to smite. It drops. He didn't get it. And that's it. And that's it. Elvis flashes in. Ars. GG. Let's take a look at game number 2. Game number 2. So the things that stand out here in draft, right? Genji went to blue side, Lucian, Rakan, they denied the combos from 1-2. And here, key thing, difference between T1 and JDG is just T1, JDG, like T1 banned junglers every fucking game. Like every game they banned junglers both sides, and I think that really hurt them. I think that what we saw here, the trade of Vi, Wukong, Maokai, I think makes a lot more sense. Here, Bilibili decided to ban Gragas to set up their top laner for success because Gragas is the best blind into Bin. We've established that very early. We established that even during the LPL. Like picking Gragas into Bin is really good. So they are just banning Gragas 1, 2, 3. And they created a scenario where instead of banning mid laners, right? If they ban Ahri, then the enemy gets Annie for free. If the enemy first picks Ahri, at least we have Annie. Like they would match Annie ban with Ahri ban. That was their whole plan. That's like, I can tell you for sure, this Gragas ban was not necessary. If the enemy banned Annie here on 3, they would match it with Ahri ban and they would trade junglers, right? That was the whole plan. Because if Bilibili start banning mid laners, let's say they ban Annie themselves or Ahri themselves, then the enemy gets Annie for free. So they have to set up a trade. And Bilibili now, Genji choose to first pick Annie. And I thought this was surprising. I thought the plan was that they are going to just first pick Vi, is what I thought would happen. Right? First pick Vi, and then you have Annie, Ahri, Annie, Vi, and then you play the game. I thought this was an angle. They first pick Annie over Ahri, even though I think that, you know, Ahri of Chovy is definitely, you know, a step beyond. I think this was like an attempt to deny the enemy, I feel like. I just don't think, it was surprising to me. I thought also you have the option of first picking Jinx, right? You first pick Jinx, you get the big comfort and you get the safety later on in the game with the range. You're not weapon reliant, you're a lot more, your frequency is much better. You know, I think that you could first pick Jinx and then just look to pick Wukong, Annie, whatever the enemy lets you pick, right? Because there's two combos. There's two combos, right? It's like either you get Annie Wukong or you get Vi Ahri. So try to leverage the fact that you are good at both or you're willing to play both and make the enemy choose, right? But instead here, Chovy picked Annie, they get Jinx Vi and Wukong Aphelios, and then enemy gets Ahri. And they get the Jinx. And as this tournament has progressed, I feel like Jinx has become a lot more premium, in my opinion. So now with the Gragas out, coming into 4-5, Jax gets banned and then Cannon gets banned. Lulu trashes out to set up for the Braum blind pick. And you know, this is a stylistic choice. Some top laners are gonna pick a champion for their team here, like a Sion, and then 5-pick support for the Blitzcrank. Or some teams are gonna be like, yo, we are going to, plain and simple, 5-pick top. And you're gonna carry with Gwen, as an example, right? And this is, of course, Bin. So they're setting up for Gwen. Tahm Ornn gets picked. Tahm naturally, because Vi Ahri is showing and Lulu trashes out. So you pick Tahm. It is, you know, the matchup for Aphelios Tahm into Braum is perfectly fine. You know, both of these situations is quite satisfying, you know, for both. It's just they're just taking it easy. And then, of course, you know, Ornn against Braum, like, I don't think it's as big of a counter as people make it out to be. It's like, sure, Braum can E, but I don't think it's that big of a problem, really. It's like, you know, it's like Braum without E is also half a champion. So it's like, if Ornn ults or doesn't ult and Braum has to hold E and not use E, that can be impactful too. It always depends on the game. It's the same when people tell me, right? It's the same when people tell me, yo, is Nautilus bad into Xayah? Think about that question for a moment. Is Nautilus bad into Xayah? So some people say, well, Xayah can ult the Nautilus ult and be safe. But the flip side as well is that Nautilus can force Xayah ult. It depends always on the game. If Nautilus ult needs to be impactful enough to break the enemy AD, then it can be rough. But if Xayah having no ult makes her too weak, you know, the ult trade, whether who's favored or who's not, always depends on the rest of the game. Maybe me forcing Xayah ult is enough to make her useless, and then I have enough champions, right? But sometimes, maybe the enemy team has no more engage after Nautilus ult, and they have no pressure, right? It always depends on the context of the game. So in the context of Braum and Ornn, like sometimes Braum being forced to E backwards can be enough to make him useless, right? Sometimes maybe Braum needs to hold E long enough, and then Ornn with his basic spells will outvalue Braum, right? As an example. But, of course, this is an interaction that is in the game, and then sometimes Braum E can be game-changing, right? Right? All in all, right? Braum, I think Braum is pretty decent into Aphelios, right? Naturally, because of how the ult works, right? Like you block it, and that's it, you know? Like you have a good time. Other champions, you know, other supports can also block Aphelios ult, right? So it's not like that's some like crazy interaction, you know? Other champions can also block this ult. It's like Ornn ult can block it, like Ornn can block it, K'Sante can block it, other champions can block Aphelios ult, right? It's like, that's an important thing about Braum, is it's like Braum can block projectiles, but there are some spells that are not targeted that any champion in the game can block. So I don't think it's like, wow, Braum is picked, Aphelios becomes so bad now. No, I don't think so, right? I think the Tahm versus Braum is like a perfectly fine trade, but the enemy team really wants Tahm in this spot. They really want to play Tahm against Vi, Ahri to set up Aphelios for success, right? So there's no other viewpoint around it. Ornn gets picked on 5. I thought they're going to pick Sion, honestly, but Ornn, Sion, whatever. Gwen gets picked on 5. It would have come either way, right? There's no blind here. It's like, maybe, like, if he's feeling it with Jax Cannon out, maybe he could pick, like, Gnar, but Doran or Gnar, I don't know about that, you know? That looks kind of iffy. Or sounds kind of iffy. Yeah, I didn't predict 3-0 Bilibili. I predicted that the series would be close, but I thought that GENG would win. So this game started off with a bang. We have Aftershock Braum. What a psychopath. What a psychopath. Here, Chovy already burned Flash. They didn't show on camera. I don't know why they didn't show it, but Chovy already had no Flash. So he got ganked twice in a row, and here Shun just decides to burn his own Flash. Yagao is holding his own, so he has no Flash either from before. They kill Chovy, and the game is already a go. Elk already based, and now On is just tanking the dive on bot. On already based because Paze and Delight got a fantastic trade. Right. Here, I just want to look at Doran's HP because it's just dropping down. Ahri is deep TPing bot to defend. Jinx is so late, and also, you know, it's not only to defend because these minions dying to the turret is just kind of sad. Here, Bin just solo kills. I don't know what the fuck Doran's doing. Like, Bin just Q flashes and he's dead. It's like to die 1v1 in this matchup. It's a disaster, by the way. It's horrible. It's really, really bad. It's so bad. Like, I don't know what is going on from this position. Like, looking at Doran's HP right now, right? My man built a Ruby Crystal for himself. It looks like Ben is pushing into him. I'll just pay attention to Doran's HP there on the top left. It just begins to... I don't know what's happening. Like, it just begins... It just dropped once on 1Q. And then, I don't know, does he get queued again? He gets queued again. Like, he just got queued 3 times. He just got queued 3 times. Huh. Crazy. And now, considering the kill on mid and also Gwen's condition, it's like Gwen needs to reach 1, 2, 3 items, and all of a sudden the enemy will have a big problem. It becomes very, very tricky to deal with her. And, you know, GENG will not have an easy time breaking her. Especially because Ben has learned his lesson and he's itemizing correctly now, right? He's going for Mercs, he knows that the Annie combo is coming his way. The only threat to him is Annie one-shotting him in Tibber, so he's going Mercs, and he's floating, taking it easy, buying Death Cap, and buying good items. No more Morello. Now, on the other hand, Shun has no flash, Peanut has flash, Chovy doing, of course, the usual trade, Yagao out of conditions already, and Bilibili not paying attention to the fact that Bilibili is like outmaneuvered here because Yagao's mana pool is so shit. He has double biscuit. You know, I like here, Yagao just kind of gets fucked. Such a good trade here for Chovy that just wins in the whole situation because the mid gap allows GENG to really, really press forward here in this fight. Also, Tamkench and Aphelios are just stronger than their counterparts in such a river fight. So this is a very good play from GENG to pursue this with Purple Gun, root into, of course, the flash off, and they kill on here, and then the Tibbers is going to finish it off with a barbecue. While Pays wanted the kill, didn't happen. This game, generally speaking, was just a beautiful masterclass. I think probably Ben could have flashed this gank. This was a beautiful masterclass of team fighting. Bilibili get to a point where, you know, it's all about the Drakes, because as this game progressed, I just want to pause in this moment, let it play so you guys see it because of no overlay. Gwen didn't have flash there. Oh, Gwen didn't have flash, but then Gwen didn't have flash, and I'm just talking shit. Thank you for calling me out, guys. Appreciate it. In this moment, looking at the game conditions, things are looking good. They have 2 Drakes, preparing for 3rd Drake. They're looking stronger. It is looking a lot better. Your mic has a bit of static, bro. I think it's just my PC that is making noise. I think that's the issue. It's like my PC is like, has a weird sound to it. I kick it a bit. Let's see if it stops. It actually helped. I kicked my PC and it helped. So looking towards this Drake, I feel like blue side has very good chances to fight. I think it's just kind of weird how GENG posture here on the bottom side. It's like, in all honesty, right? It's like they are late on the bot wave. They're late on the bot wave. And now they open through mid. Chovy needs to connect. But GENG is just a little bit too slow with everything. I feel like it's like they're just a little bit too slow on everything. Like here, the enemy team is already in river first. Jinx is catching, and they're pushing the bot wave. And then during the time where Annie catches the bot wave, the enemy team is already on the next mid wave, right? Like they're already on the next mid wave. And the LCK, like Peanut here, is now too late. But in reality, they should be on the mid wave. They could be on the mid wave right now because they saw Ari on the bot wave and they can contest the mid wave. Now Ari's gonna hover for the mid wave, and GENG are wasting time. And now Annie is not pushing bot wave while the enemy is hovering for mid wave. So Base is losing HP, he's trying to connect with his team, and now Annie's not pushing bot wave, so didn't get anything. She caught 6 minions and lost full position. Now Bilibili is first in river, there's no pressure on bot, and Bilibili is on the Drake, right? Like, what did you gain? You did this for 6 minions on bot. When in reality, you could have taken over river, you could have pushed the enemy out, and you could have punished the Ahri for being on the bot wave. But they didn't, right? So this entire sequence, right? It's just that Peanut is going all the way to try to cover for the Annie, and the Annie is catching 6 minions. And during this time, Jinx came fresh out of base, and Ahri is connecting with her team. And now GENG is just too late on the next mid-wave. When in reality, they could be walking on the next mid-wave and they could have already controlled river and pushed the enemy out while Ahri was on bot. But they didn't. And now, Billy, just because Annie's on bot catching, they do the exact opposite. They broke the enemy apart and now they have full position on Pixel. And now the enemy is too late. Chovy just wanted CS. He wanted to eat minions. And now GENG, even though they're stronger, cannot reposition. Imagine a situation where they just heralded on mid when Ahri was on bot. And they just break the mid turret. And then they pressure the enemy off. Ahri would feel fucking stupid for being bot. But now, GENG is very late and somehow Billy managed to get this Drake. And now GENG turns around to use the herald, which is fine. They break a mid turret, that's okay, right? But they could have accomplished so much more. They could have been on sole point here. They could have been on sole point. And I think this is like kind of the story of the series, because now we have this big macro sequence, right, where Chovy is on top wave. Like here I don't understand. Chovy is pushing a neutral wave, which is very bad. It's like Chovy is pushing a neutral wave. Like he feels safe, right? There's very few champions, like, to be honest, never mind. Like the way he walks forward. Like if he died in this spot, I would also like understand. But he's like pushing forward and the enemy just kills him, right? They just kill him. And there's no play on mid. Aphelios was in base, Tamkinch was in base, Wugon's clearing camps, and Ahri pushed out bot. This is a big swing of gold. Billy take a top turret, and they lose CS as well, of course. So it's like Billy are just out macroing them, plain and simple. Here as well, Chovy gets spotted by this blue and he is going into the top wave. He walks into the top wave because he feels safe because Peanut is in river. But when this happens, Billy just take control over mid and of course Ben just pushes bot. Now it's reverse. Ahri is catching and Annie wants to take control over river. Ahri feels safe to push the next wave, and now Billy are the ones receiving. So basically it's like you take turns and whoever takes control of a river first, right? And now Ahri is going to defend, and then Annie is going to connect. And during this window, because Ahri can't, of course, sure she can TP on mid, but if the enemy doesn't show on mid wave, they can still push the mid wave, and this is how you can like maintain the control if you can stay in river. And the side laner can hover for you as you make the play. So ideally the setup you want, right? What I'm trying to explain, right? Is basically you go like this. Let's say the enemy solo lane pushes the wave. You go like this, you take control of a river. The enemy solo lane needs to go around and connect with his team. And during this, you're pushing. During this, you stay in river and you catch that wave and then you connect in river again. And then during this time where he moves, this is the moment where there will be constriction here. If you're stronger, you maintain this position, and the person who caught is going to hover towards river in case there's a fight. And then, after the mid-wave is taken, just because the mid-wave crashes first, you can then show on top. And the reason you can hover very, very narrowly with the solo laner is because you have full control over river. So practically what's happening is that you are hovering 4 on the mid-wave, and then you're continuing the play into top side because you have full control of river, and that's why you have pink wards on river, right? We continue. Now the game has, of course, changed in dynamic. We have a situation where Billy managed to generate a lot of gold. Gwen has 2 items. Vi is approaching 2 items. And Ahri has finished 2 items too. In terms of gold distribution, everything is a lot more fair now and a lot more close. In the previous fight, when we talked about the ocean, GENG was looking much stronger than they do like pushing for a fight now. Here the weird thing is, I don't understand. So GENG do the correct thing. They open through mid, Very big problem here that Chovy just ults the floor and he gets nothing. I can just ult at the floor. Not the greatest. Not the greatest. And he has no ult, and the issue here, sure, they don't have any ult, but the fact is, GENG right now have a very good position. They have the arc, the enemy has a hard time entering in, and they know that they can cover their own flank. If you want to pressure Drake and you feel like you're stronger and that's why you step into river, you need to leash the Drake fucking now. You need to leash the Drake, pull it into pixel, and then turn on the enemy when they try to break through these choke points. But instead what GENG is doing is nothing short of masturbation. They are simply just oinking here and they are not pulling the trigger on the Drake. And what happens is the next midwave is coming. This is their window. If they leash the Drake and pull the Drake and they pulled it towards pixel, then their position would have been really good. But now the next wave is already coming. The next wave is coming. And now the next wave is here, and now their position is poor because they might lose the mid turret. And now GENG are in a tough spot because they need to decide. They need to decide, oh, should we defend? And now they defend, losing the whole position. So they lose the mid turret and they lose the Drake position. That is crazy. That is crazy. And now it's all in reverse. Bilibili is the first one in river, and they lost the mid turret. And now GENG need to re-enter and go through the choke point again. Now you see Ben is playing in the right pocket. Very nice, right? Ben is playing in the right pocket. The enemy wants to cross, Ben wants to flank. GENG, the way their composition needs to play is they need to get value off of any Tibbers and Wukong ult combo, right? To go and to smack the enemy down, right? Here, Bin crosses the wall. Now, Bin connects with his team because Yagao is the one going for the flank, right? They are never like over-indexing on this idea of flanking. But Bin is connecting with his team because they recognize that the enemy could push him out and then Yagao is on the flank, right? Bin is connecting because Yagao is the one flanking. And now, Peanut is marking him. This is very good. And then Bilibili are now like committing to the dance here, right? You see that the arc is always the same. It's always the same, right? Now Yagao has a pretty decent position here to ult over the wall and to connect with key targets. Another detail, even though Chovy ulted the floor, he does have ult ready, right? So he has ult ready for this. The one ult comes in, doesn't get blocked. Yagao, if you pay attention to can GENG not push on Yagao? They can't. He has Banshee. There's no like, they can't really pull the trigger on him. Like if they use ults to burn his ult, they lose the whole position and it's bad. The key thing here is, look at Yagao. He ults into the wall. Face first. Ari has a very beautiful face, but not so more after this ult. Look at that slowdown. Boom. Slowdown into ult. Yagao ults. Boom. Did you see it? Ulted the floor. I mean, ulted the wall. As well here, On doesn't break the Ornn ult. I think that this is an opportunity to do so. He procs the Aftershock. I think that of course he needs to block this one. And then Bin with the W is playing forward. Chovy is stopwatching. So far, GENG has played pretty well and Bilibili has played not so good. Right? Here, Yagao also just gets E'd by Ornn dry and he just gets comboed into Gale Force auto attack by Pays. It is truly... yeah, this is what I expected more often from Bilibili. These type of team fight mistakes, you know, them getting caught doing silly shit. I guess you have to take the good with the bad. We continue. Here, Peanut gives back. Peanut gives back. Because for some reason, Peanut decides, I want to test if my Divine Sunderer still works. There's absolutely no sense behind his decision. He's trying to look for something, but obviously that something wasn't there. And now there's this situation where Peanut has dropped so low, and there's no good decision here for Delight. Should he eat Wukong? If he eats Wukong, the fight is still losing. Gwen is TPing behind them, and they're kind of fucked. I don't understand what Peanut's looking for here. This is absurd. Peanut dies, reset of Jinx, and this fight is obviously Turbo losing. Gwen is walking, like Gwen is stacking her Q on the ward as he's crossing, and that's it. I don't know, Peanut was just looking for damage down or something, but this was atrocious. Atrocious. Wukong didn't ult, didn't flash, didn't do anything. And now for this, a game that could have been competitive, the game is now over. It's all ogre now. It's all ogre now. There was some back and forth in the game. We can just take a look at it. You know, just Billy masterclass in terms of team fighting is just absolutely beautiful how they control space. You know, Bin has so much presence and pressure in the fight. I really like watching it. Really like watching it. Very crucial here, the Braum Q that hits Paze here. Like Paze is playing, like I don't blame Paze here, right? Like Paze honestly played pretty fucking good this series, you know? It's just that the EAT was never fucking coming. Like why the fuck is Delight saving EAT for a rainy day, you know? What's up with that, you know? And Billy just beautiful how they fight. Beautiful. This one too was also gorgeous. So again, Genji, they find a nice turnaround, right? Because Jun overextends and they find some kills here in the 4v4. Here just on with the shield on the full Paze damage combo. Very nice. And then here this fight is over. But not a lot of teams will be able to see that the fight is over actively. They want to find more. The adrenaline is popping hard. We've been losing. This is our time to ace them. But Paze can't reach anyone. Chovy can't reach anyone. And Peanut just commits deep on his own here, and then Peanut doesn't have enough damage to finish anyone off, and they're just getting outranged here. Elk has, of course, such an easy time spacing, and all like that's all she wrote. All she wrote. Looking at game 3, for the love of God, guys, how on earth did we end up on Kindred? How did we end up on Kindred, guys? How did we end up on Kindred? Watch Ophelio's guns during fight the worst possible. Well, the thing is, he was playing with green-blue before. And when you play with green-blue, it's like a very strong combo for fights. But what the weapon combos that you have after green-blue will be very weak. The fight just extended super long. It's like, if you play green-blue, your next weapons will be bad. It's just how it is. It's like you'll have purple-red into white. Okay, so how on earth did we end up on Kindred again? I don't know which world. It's like T1 had some of the worst Kindred games we've seen ever, right? And Kindred was so fucking out of place. And then we have Kindred again somehow. I think they wanted to negate Shun Kindred. Okay, Nick Gray, as you see on the screen, the Vi is already locked in. So unless there's like some Vi support action hiding in the position, I think that, you know, Shun is not picking Kindred in this game. So, first and foremost, you have, people don't know that Kindred is Shun's best champ. People do know. I do know. And he's not picking it. He's not playing it for a reason. He's not playing it for a reason, right? He's not playing it for a damn reason. He's not playing it. Do you see Shun playing Nidalee this tournament? Do you see Shun playing Kindred? Like, Shun's Kindred and Nidalee are very well known, right? But the issue here, right? The issue is GENG ban Lucian, Nautilus, Cannon, right? So looking at comparing the adaptations. Here Rakan is still in the picture. They choose to ban Cannon and leave Xayah Rakan open in the picture. But they weren't ready for Billy banning junglers. They were not. They were not. They were not ready for it. right? Maokai, K'Sante, Wukong ban. They were not ready for it. Here, every game of the week, right? Genji is now in this spot where, like, if we pick Vi, enemy is going to pick Xayah Rakan. And we're fucked. So they're like, okay, we're gonna pick Annie. And then they're like, well, if we drop jungle, we're gonna be fucked. Peanut says in comms. Which is a big fucking problem. It's a big problem. If you don't want to first pick Vi here, at least pick Xayah Rakan 1, 2, 2, 3. The minimum, pick Xayah Rakan 2, 3. Because the enemy needs to choose between picking Ahri and Thresh Lulu. Right? Just drop jungle and let him play Sejuani, Poppy, Trundle. Just let him play a champ and it's fine. At least you had an idea. But here you're just lost in draft from the get-go. It's like, imagine a world, right? Imagine a world, just for sake of comparison, okay? So they first pick Annie. Annie, Ahri is in the picture. An enemy goes Jinx, Vi. Here in this spot, right? If they go Xayah Rakan, here they have to think. Do we go Thresh? Or Lulu? Or do we go Ahri? You have to choose. If here Ahri is picked, you ban Thresh, you ban Lulu, you give priority on your bot, right? The enemy is gonna ban Gragas, whatever, and then you just pick Ornn or Sion, whatever, right? Genji opened Rakan in the next game. They opened Rakan. At least you have a draft that is decent into Vi and you have an idea, right? Or the other way, right? The other way is you keep the Rakan ban, right? You keep the Rakan ban as you did. Like as an example, right? And then if the enemy starts banning junglers the way they did, you need to be ready. Like, you need to be ready to just first pick Vi. And then if you first pick Vi, enemy wants to play Xayah without Rakan, it's bad. And then if enemy picks Annie, let's say they go Annie Jinx, as an example. Then you have Ahri on Chovy, and you also have, of course, you have just Aphelios. And this is good. This is good. You have a fucking game. You have a game. But this is already so losing. So losing already. There's no like angle. Like here, at least go Xayah Rakan to make the Vi more useless, right? It's like here, enemy goes, you did this, right? At least go Xayah Rakan, because you left Rakan open. And then the enemy has to choose, do we go Lulu Thresh, or do we go Ahri? Let's say they go Ahri, and you remove now Lulu, you remove Thresh, as an example, okay? Now you pressure them. Maybe you feel like, oh shit, we need to ban Gwen. Okay, no problem, you ban Gwen. Okay, you ban Gwen, Lulu's out. Let's say that's an example, right? The enemy will ban Poppy. Okay, they will ban Poppy, and they will ban something like, I don't know. It's like, just fucking pick yourself, fucking play Viego, play whatever the fuck. Really. Like, just drop 4-5. I can assure you the enemy team is not gonna fucking ban Kindred, by the way. They want you to play Kindred. If you wanted Kindred so badly, then fucking pick it 4-5. Like, if that's your angle, you know? If that's your angle. Look, if Maokai, Vi, and Wukong is in the picture, these are clearly the 3 best junglers on the patch. Why are they the 3 best junglers on the patch? Is because they do a very good job of interacting with the bot lane meta. Vi has pressure on every AD carry, Wukong has pressure on every AD carry, and Maokai is very good at ganking and very good at creating setup, right? These three are clearly the best junglers on the meta. Ah yes, Wukong is bad. He does Raptor slower. Like, I said on day one of MSI, I'm sitting there with Gilligan, I'm sitting there with Dominatrix. They are telling me, hey, Wukong is so shit now. I can't kill my Raptors. Obviously, I'm just messing about. These three junglers are a step above of everything else. They're like Sejuani, it's like Sejuani, Poppy, Viego, all of these champions. Like all of these junglers, right, that everyone has played this tournament, right? Nidalee, Nocturne. It's like Javan, right? All of these champions need very specific conditions. Kha'Zix, all of these champions need very specific conditions to be successful. Gragas is probably one of the few champions that could do like well every time. Kindred, it's like Kindred as well. All of these other junglers, they need specific conditions to be good, right? Need very specific conditions to be good. And do you think G2 is better than Genji? No. Where does that cope come from? Oh, Genji smacked G2 around. Where is this? Why is that question reappearing so often, guys? Is G2 better than Genji? Well, like, they lost. G2 lost to Genji. Like, why? G2 improved a lot since Genji BO5. Well, Genji also regressed today. Like, you guys are doing esports math, and you are clearly like undervaluing like Bilibili, like performing super well today. Can't do esports math like that, guys. Nevertheless, if these junglers, it's like if the enemy gets one of these junglers, like play flat out, you better have a composition that is very strong into them, right? Very strong into them. Or pick, like, you have to match. You have to match. We saw the same thing in the T1 series, right? In the T1 series, it was exactly the same. It's like the enemy gets Wukong. It's like they pick Wukong JDG, and the enemy drops and they get Kindred when Vi Maokai is out. When in reality, they could have went Jinx, Wukong, and then third pick, right? Looking at the game now, we've talked enough about draft. This game was very quickly like in the favor. So it's like we had the level 1 invade here. The Blitzcrank hook, Shun, he fucked up the pool. So basically this ward here, it's like very good for Bilibili. Like they already killed 2 wards. Like Ari killed the ward, Jinx killed the ward. They already killed 2 wards with 1 sweeper. Shun fucks up the smite here because he could really fuck up Peanut here. If he does the smite properly and Peanut loses this golem, he's completely out of the fucking game. He's completely out of the game. They will dive bot. Ornn is fucked. Everybody's fucked. But luckily the Shun, he smite, he fucked up. Peanut gets level 2. He can defend bot. Sion's gonna base, TP back top, and then Ornn does the same way. Ornn does the same way. Can you tell me about naughty mid picks? I don't get it. Like, Nautilus mid is fine. The issue is Kindred. I tell you, Kindred is the problem. It's like Kindred is the fucking problem, and the lack of a good jungler is the problem. The issue is, the junglers that you need to pair together with Nautilus, you better fucking make sure that Maokai, Vi, Wukong is not in the picture. Because you don't want to play Nautilus with those. If those 3 junglers are out of the picture, and you're playing, let's say, Nautilus, Nidalee against Kha'Zix, then that's fine. But in these games, it's like Nautilus is playing into Wukong and he has a Kindred on his team. We continue. So now already, right? Vi is a little bit ahead, Kindred is behind. That's like the trade-off here, right? It's like Aphelios Trash are fine in their lane, they don't get dove, they defended the play, both top laners TP top. Here, Kindred is crossing into top side. Like the most dangerous thing, right, is that Bilibili, just because they have Blitzcrank and Jinx, they manage to control the wave. This is wave number 4. They're gonna get level 3 on it, and then they pressure dive because they know Kindred has to go into top because only has topside camps. And then as the punish here, Shun, like they get denied a full wave. The light and pace is really uncomfortable. Like this is such a strong thing that Bilibili does well. It's like they know that Kindred has to cross into top because that's the only place that she has camps, and that's it, you know. We continue. Now Kindred has a counterplay because his team got dove. He wants to look to find you know, some camps from the opposition. And now Peanut has to burn his flash. I think if Yagao E flashes there on Peanut instantly, I think he's just dead. But Yagao's Yagao. He does his own thing. I think that Peanut could die here. He was worried maybe that the Raptor would tank the little charm. Already bot lane is in good condition, right? It's like they managed to get the dive in, and then they crash the wave. They get a clean base, pickaxe, boots against pickaxe. Jinx and Blitzcrank already went, you know. Jinx and Blitzcrank scale fantastically well. If Blitzcrank and Jinx can lane, these champions scale really well. Blitzcrank is a scaling champ. Why Yagao is called toothpaste by OTP? I think Yagao means toothpaste in Mandarin. That's what I believe it is. Chovy with, of course, the anti-Tibber trade. I want to fast forward a little bit to the big points in the game. I don't understand why Chovy goes here to check the Raptors. He's TPing on the mid wave, pushes it, and then he's face checking into Vi Blitzcrank. I don't know if it's something that Kindred asked for him or whatever, or if he's afraid of his bot lane getting dove. But Chovy just dies here, dry. Just a dry death. I really like how Bilibili connect. I really like how Bilibili connect. It's they push out the wave, they make sure that the bot lane has passage, and they recognize, you know, the point in the map that has the biggest weakness. The key thing here walking into this fight is just Jinx's advantage here. She has Gale Force. The Scion's taking free damage, but this is a point in the game like this first Drake where you are just so unbelievably tanky. The hook lands and then GG. Who is MVP of the series? Well, it's very hard. I think Bin, or if like you are just subscribed to the AD meta, Elk had a fantastic series too. It's like it's either Elk. I think On also played insanely well. It's like it's boring to give these AD carries playing Jinx getting pentas. Of course, the Kindred gets hooked here. Like it just the EOA from Doran. The EOA from Doran, and then Peanut eats this hook with the charm. Doran shouldn't use his W for nothing, right? He could have kept his W, could have pushed it forward, they could have fought here. I don't know why he E's out. I think that they should E forward. And then Chovy should flash in and fucking R, like they should fucking fight. There's a fucking crab showing the Jinx and the Vi right now. Just fucking press your buttons. I don't know why they are so scared to actually fight here. It's like these members are practically getting 3v5'd here. They're getting 3v5'd and they're backing off while Vi and Jinx is hitting, right? And Genji didn't pull the trigger, didn't do anything, didn't walk forward with Ornn. I think they should have. It's like Ornn ult is coming off cool in 1 second. They have Tibbers with flash, like they can pressure here. But they didn't. And if you are not planning to pressure at all, then don't fucking contest with Drake in the first place, right? Like if you went here and you want to contest, then fucking go for it, you know? The big lane diff, I think every game Shun did. I think Shun played much better than Peanut the entire series. I think that's for sure. I think in terms of Shun's bottom lane impact was way greater, was way bigger, and finally, just been completely dumpstered the shit out of Doran in lane, right? It's like he got ahead with Jax against Gragas. Shouldn't fucking happen. Like, Jax was so fucking powerful. Gwen solo killed Ornn. And here with the Sion, he's just fucking vibing, right? He's playing Sion into Ornn. And he's just performing better in the fight. And then finally, I think the key difference between Genji and Bilibili was just the teamfight selection. The teamfight selection was just beautiful. Teamfight selection was just way better. Like the way they fought, Chovy didn't have like good awareness. Chovy was getting caught left and right. He was trying to find engagements. It was like really, really bad. Really terrible. This game had a bit of back and forth, but mostly it was just Genji trying to hang on to the threads. You know, Elk was in such good conditions after the previous fights, and eventually he finds the game-winning fight, and the game is just over. I think we've covered enough. I think it's time for us to talk about tomorrow's matchup. Bilibili versus T1. So the key thing, right? I think that the key thing for T1, what they need to do in order to really, really fucking like... I think the main issue here is just T1... I think the series would have been far closer if T1 drafted more appropriately. And I don't want to frame that as something that is like so simple. Because draft preparation is a fundamental part of the game. JDG had the better prep and it paid off. That's a fundamental part of the game. And T1 historically have had very poor prep. I said it at the beginning of the tournament, T1's dry preparation is really fucking bad. And they need to fucking lose before they realize what to pick. That is a weakness of T1. And that is a weakness that can hold, right? It was the same. It's like T1, the first time they played Genji, their preparation was terrible. The second time they played it, everything was different, right? They played these full Gumayushi compositions, full Gumayushi composition time and time again, all for Gumayushi. They adapted to the meta. And JDG, right? It's like T1 had these games where they play fucking Kindred and so forth. I think the key thing for T1 is, I think, in terms of preparation, they need to be willing to open up junglers. Like, they can't be playing with locked bans on both sides. They need to be able to find circumstances where they're willing to trade. Because Owner is being put in a very strange situation every fucking game. They need to have willingness to open jungles. Because here, Maokai Vi is banned. They don't pick Wukong themselves. What's up with that? Right? Here, they ban Vi Wukong themselves. First pick Maokai. It was a good game. I think that, you know, Owner played a good Maokai game. But Owner is being put in like these disadvantageous positions time and time again. Right? We continue the logic here. Now, T1 banned Maokai Vi Wukong. It was a little bit more even. Both junglers are playing Kha'Zix, Wukong, and Xin Zhao. These champions are like mental. Here, T1 once again, they go back to Maokai Vi, and then they play Kindred again. What's up with that? There could be a situation where the same thing happens tomorrow, right? It's like, once again, my issue is not Faker Nautilus. It's like, people have issue with Faker Nautilus, I have issue with the jungle priority. I think the jungle priority is the bigger issue. If they play Nautilus tomorrow, I think it's fine in some cases. It's definitely fine in some cases. But the issue was, right, it's like they're giving up Annie for Nautilus. Right, as an example. I think Annie is just a little bit more premium. And that's it. I think also T1 is a lot better macro-wise than Genji. I think they will be a lot more competitive and the team fights will be there. I think that Bilibili are very, very good when it comes to team fighting, but I think that their inaccuracies will be a lot more felt against a T1. I think T1 is better macro-wise, and I do believe that they're going to make the appropriate adjustments when it comes to draft. So I think the T1 was favored, is favored. I think T1, better fight selection, better macro. I think these things matter. And that's it. That's it, homies. Alright, it seems that my stream died. My stream just died, but I guess I am finishing the recording. Huh, my stream just died. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I'll catch you guys on the flippity flop.